Okay, hey, we are back. So I appreciate everybody jumping back on here. We had a little technical difficulty. Thank God I pay Time Warner all that money. So Glenn, as I was saying, man, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. And you know, I know that you've accomplished a lot of great things, and I want to hear your story. I want to have my audience hear your story as well, man, because from what I can see, you're the man. You are the man. So let's back up and talk again about where you were born and raised.
Yeah, man. Born in Fort Hood, Texas, and raised in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Okay.
My dad was a military guy. He was in the Army, so we moved around a lot when I was real young. And then from age 6 or so, that's when we settled in Flagstaff, Arizona, and that's where I grew up, man.
Nice. We just moved back to Ohio from Vegas. We were out there for a little over a year, and we went down into Arizona a few times. What a beautiful state, man. I mean, it's just beautiful there.
Yeah, and as long as you don't need any, as long as you don't need anything to drink or cool air or anything like that, it's great.
Right. Dude, we were in, what's that? Is it Laughlin?
Laughlin, Nevada, man, yeah.
And that's right where you're coming into Arizona, right? It was 126 degrees.
Yes, sir. 126, man. That's why they put the casinos there, so they can keep you inside with the AC. They're like, you're not going anywhere, bro. We got you.
Yeah, right. Dude,
what's real interesting though is where I grew up in Arizona in Flagstaff, it's actually at 7,500 feet. It's on top of a mountain.
Oh.
And so there was a ski resort in my backyard, a place called Snowbowl. So where I grew up, it snows 6 months out of the year. And I'm talking big snows, like 4 feet overnight, 6 feet overnight, big snows. You get all 4 seasons. But then if you drive an hour and 15 minutes down the hill, you're in the middle of the desert in Phoenix, Arizona.
Wow. That's
it's
crazy.
Pretty neat.
So have you ever been over to Oatman, Arizona?
I've never been to Oatman. No,
dude,
sir.
There's these, and this is completely off topic, but there's literally wild burros. There's wild donkeys in this little town. You park your car, you get out, it's like an old west town, and you get out and you walk, and these dang donkeys walk up to you, and you feed them. Like they sell these little hay cubes or whatever.
Wow.
It's cool, man. It's on Old Route 66. It's a pretty cool trip out there, but anyway, so you were your father was military, and you were pretty much raised in Flagstaff. Is that where you went to school, I guess, and high school and all that?
Yeah, I did all my schooling in Flagstaff up through one year of college.
Okay,
and then dropped out of college and decided to take life head on.
Well, hey, dude, that's actually better than me. So, but this is about you. So, and I know you now live right down the road from me. I'm here in Columbus, Ohio, and you're down in you live in Kentucky now, right?
Yeah, man, Paris, Kentucky. Little town of about 9,600 people.
Wow.
Is the population of the county there and the surrounding area. And just outside of Lexington, and down about an hour and a half or so from Louisville.
Yeah, nice. So in somewhere in between dropping out of college and we won't get to what you're doing now, because what you're doing is from what I understand, it's pretty incredible. Again, I know you're in the car business, and I know nothing about the car business. So somebody tells me the numbers that you're doing out of your store, and I'm like, wow, that seems really, really good compared to some of the numbers I've heard other dealers do. So
sure.
But let's back up though. So out of college, you dropped out after 1 year of college.
Right.
In high
Dropped
school,
out, they kicked me out, whatever,
same
however
thing.
you want to.
Same thing happened to me in high school, though, my senior year. They're like, dude,
Right.
you didn't get a biology credit, and you need that to graduate. And I'm like, for what? What am I going to use that for? Like, that's not even, like, I took trig and calculus and all that. I'm ready for college. Who needs biology? And they're like, well, you do to graduate. And I go, well, then I'm out of here. Y'all are crazy.
Right,
and I walked out. I was 17. I said, I got things to do. I got money to make. This is crazy. So,
well, the good news is, like, 22 years later, you can tell the story however you want. So
that's right. That's right, dude. Hey, man, for the first few years, it bothered me bad. But,
Right.
then I look back and I know for a fact I worked at Honda, the factory. Right when I walked out, I pretty much walked into Honda like 8 months later and started working there in the factory building cars. So, it's crazy though what you can accomplish if you just let stuff go. Just like forget it. You know what I mean? Just like everybody makes mistakes. But anyway, let's back up to what did you like after you left college, after you decided on your own to leave? So what was next for you? What'd you do?
Well, it was like, in short succession, it was college, then it was workforce, then it was baby, and then it was car business. And then that all happened really, really fast. Like, hi, how are you? I'm so-and-so. Oh, you're pregnant. Great. Now we have a kid. What are we going to do? We got to work. I'm going to go work here. Oh, I can make $5,000 a month. Boom. Now I'm selling Nissans and Subarus.
Wow. Is this all out in Flagstaff?
That's in Flagstaff. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's where you got into the car business was in Arizona. Man, I can't even imagine what it would. Well, that you're up pretty high, so it's not probably as hot as down in some of the areas.
Flagstaff temperatures are great. They really are. Yeah. Other than the fact that there's a couple feet of snow out there, half the year. But as far as the heat, the hottest it normally gets is, you might get a 90-degree day in the summer. Maybe.
Okay. And that's where you were selling?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So the dealerships, though, in like Phoenix, where it's, the average temperature is 100 and something. Like, what the heck? Can you imagine walking the lot all the time outside wearing a suit and tie? And, oh, gosh. But so you started selling cars. You were in your early 20s, I would imagine. How did that go? Did you start out like first month like you set records?
Yeah, I was really good at it. Regretfully. Thankfully now, regretfully then. But yeah, I jumped in and I hit the floor, running and, salesman of the month right out the gate. And it wasn't very long at all, that I had kind of worked my way up through the ranks. So after I think a year and a half of selling, then I became a finance manager at like 21 years old and, just kept continuing to kind of climb through the industry from there. Wow.
So what, as a child, especially being brought up in a military family, what kind of, I always think that there's some sort of an influence or an event that occurs, something as a child that kind of influences or dictates the path that we end up taking as an adult. So if you think back, what do you feel like is the biggest influence of your childhood that made you what you became as an adult?
Well, I think there's two things in there, but one of the biggest things is I grew up in an incredibly interesting environment. See, my dad is black, my mom is white. They split up when I was like 11 or 12 years old, somewhere right in there. They split up. My mom, who's white, remarried a white guy, and my dad, who's black, remarried a black woman. and she had some other kids. And we ended up growing up 2 apartments apart. My dad lived in apartment 30 with his family, and my mom lived in apartment 28 with her family. There was one apartment between us. The most interesting upbringing forever. So in one house, I had, my white family, which was, stereotypical rock and roll country music. It was kind of quiet, it was that environment. And then 2 doors down, I had my black family that was stereotypical black family with like gospel music, a TV on in every room. There's kids all over the place. It's wild. It's crazy. We're throwing footballs and playing basketball, and we're listening to Michael Jackson. And so we kind of I had these 2 environments that I bounced back and forth in between.
Wow.
Most of my kind of developmental years, those teen years. And so I think that it taught me a lot of things. It taught me how to adapt, how to be able to connect with different people of different cultures. Yeah. I didn't become a one lane type of person. I was very well rounded. I like all types of music. I like all types of people. I can connect with people on all levels, and I think that had a huge impact in my ability to do really well in sales through this industry and any other time I've done sales in my life.
Dude, that is absolutely amazing. That might be the coolest story I've ever heard. Like, wow, man. Talk about, being crazy. In the middle of an identity crisis. Like, right? Like, I don't know who I am. I got to figure this out. But yeah, I can see how that would. But I see how that would give you an uncanny ability to connect with anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And all through school, and everything, I still kind of ran into those same issues. Like, was I, do I hang out with the black kids? Do I hang out with the white kid? Where do I fit? A lot of people thought I was Mexican. A lot of people thought I was, Indian. So, so same thing in school it really was kind of some identity issues. I had a hard time creating good, deep, solid relationships with people. Yeah. And so instead, I was able to kind of create these not so deep relationships, but I was able to get along with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that, man. I get that. So, I have a real good friend in the UK who's like from Africa, but like he looks Mexican. And he's always joking about it. He's like, dude, everybody thinks I'm Mexican. What the heck? He's like, I hate tacos. Dude, you can't say that. That's racist. He's funny though. But growing up, I mean, there's no way that you had to learn how to adapt. You had to. And life forced you to do that. That wasn't a choice. Like, you didn't go, hey, I want to make sure I have 2 different families, 2 different cultural, backgrounds. Life made you do that, and that's incredible. So let me, like, as you started in the car business, you became F&I, right? Is that you told me that? At what point did you? Because I know that eventually you became a general manager. Was that also in Arizona?
No, in Arizona, I got it to a GSM position. Okay. And then ultimately in Arizona, the young lady that I spoke of earlier that I had a child with, her and I's relationship at that point had completely deteriorated, destroyed. Yeah. And I ultimately ended up losing custody of my daughter. Okay. And so when I lost custody of my daughter, I really blamed everybody but myself, and I definitely blamed the auto industry. So I decided at that point that I was going to get out of the auto industry completely, and I did, and I packed up everything. This was when I was about 25, 26 years old. I packed up everything and hit the road, and ultimately I was out of the auto industry for a long, long time. Oh, wow. With no desire to get back in whatsoever. And then I met my wife, and shockingly, she got pregnant, and we had a baby, and she's like, you got to go to work. And I got back in the car business. Did you? But But this time I had learned my lesson from before, and I knew that what was going to be most important was I wasn't going to allow my family to get destroyed by the car business, period. And B, I had to make sure that my wife and my kid, and now it's six kids with my wife, 7 total, but I had to make sure that my wife and my kids, were the priority as I made this transition back into the auto industry.
Wow. So, so you hit the road, you left Arizona. Where did you go? And this is 25, 26?
Yeah, right around there. Yeah.
Okay.
I went to, I had this brilliant idea, Ken, dude. I'm a smart guy.
I know
right?
You are.
So I had this brilliant idea. I was like, I'm going to go to Vegas and I'm going to play poker for a living, right? It's going to be awesome. And I'm going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner in casinos. And I'm going to have incredible relationships with all of these other people that will take my rent money. And it's going to be the most epic lifestyle ever.
Right.
So I had that idea.
Yeah.
And then
Sounds
about a week or two later, I was like sitting in my car with no gas and no money trying to figure out where I'm going to go next. So my journey kind of began, my traveling journey really began at that point. I started, I guess it's what it was, but I just started kind of leeching off of people, going wherever I could go, kind of hopping around, Southern California, playing cards, here where I could. So between, Vegas and Southern California and Arizona, I was just kind of traveling around and in and out of jail and drinking and drugging and just, doing all of that, crazy stuff, burning bridge after bridge after bridge, and just making lots of mistakes while I continued to, blame everybody else for my downfalls.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a recovered alcoholic of 16 years sober, dude. So I can relate to that.
That's awesome, dude.
I can relate.
Awesome.
Dude, I did the same thing, except for I didn't go to Vegas. If I would have ended up in Vegas back in those days, we wouldn't be talking. I'd be dead for sure.
Right.
Like, no doubt. Right. But so, wow, man, I didn't know all that about you. Wow. I don't even know where to take this now, because that's I can relate to all of that, man. You're running.
Yeah.
And you have no idea who you're running from.
That's right. Running, and just kind of hopscotching from whoever would, who was the next sucker that was going to help me out.
Yeah.
Was kind of the lifestyle for a while until one day it wasn't. One day I was actually in San Diego, at this point, and no one left to turn to. I'd burnt every bridge, and I was basically spending my days kind of just gathering up as much change as I could find, like on the streets and on the beaches and stuff. I wouldn't ask people for money, but I would try to find enough money and
change. I thought you meant like life change.
No, I wasn't there yet.
You're talking money. We're not there yet.
Money, dude. Yeah, I'd spend all day just kind of looking for it, and then enough to eat like a McDonald's breakfast sandwich or something like that, and then enough to get on the bus. So I would get on the bus at the end of the night and sleep on the bus until like 6 a.m. the next day when they would go to the depot and they would kick me off the bus, and then I'd spend the whole day kind of doing that again, man, just trying to scratch up enough change. And that was the low point. I had lots of low points, between going in and out of jail and things like that, but that was a real low point for me. And after a few weeks of doing that, then I decided I would rather be dead than live like this.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a very good, going back to being half black, I'm not a very good swimmer.
Oh, jeez.
So I decided if I just kind of went out into the ocean far enough that I wouldn't be able to get back, and so I tried that, and it didn't work because I wasn't a strong enough swimmer. I couldn't even get out past the tide. Yeah, right. And so I'm kind of laying there on the beach, laying there in my failures, and that's the first time I kind of heard a whisper from the big guy upstairs going, "All right, dude, Are you done thinking this is all about you? You know, are you done screwing everybody or, over around you? Are you done with this victim mentality? And are you ready to start living this life that I have destined for you? So
Wow.
that was kind of my moment there, that things started to turn around in the other direction.
Dude, that is sorry, I just turned my phone on and it's blaring at me. So that's you literally just gave me chills when you said that, because I can relate. Somebody in the comments just said, "This is amazing, Denise Duff." I had her on yesterday. She's an actress and an amazing woman. But so like, dude, so you had that moment. I call it the moment of clarity. The moment of like, something's got to change. Like this ain't working. So.
Right.
Can't even kill myself correctly.
Right, exactly, dude. I was even a failure at that. It was ridiculous.
So what happened next, man? You had this moment where you were like, I can't do this anymore. What happened next?
Basically, I went out and kept doing a lot of the same things. I'd like to say that, whoa, everything was perfect.
Right.
But no, the mindset started to shift at that point.
Yeah.
But my habits and everything were still, the physical side of me, the spiritual side of me was starting to open up. The physical side of me was still the same old dude,
Right,
So,
right.
So luckily I got a job. I applied for this job. I don't know how I got the job. I actually saw the ad. They were looking for someone who had no ties, basically, that they could send on the road, that maybe had a little sales experience. And so I was the perfect candidate because I had no ties, like, at all to anybody. And so they hired me on the spot. And the next day they gave me a ticket to New York City. And they gave me a laptop, and they gave me a business card that I could work with, and they gave me a cell phone. I'm like, all right, cool. So I hit the road and started traveling around, opening sales offices all over kind of the East Coast.
Yeah.
Like I said, still making, a lot of mistakes, but I was starting to dive into the spiritual side of myself a little bit more.
Yeah.
Trying to understand that side of myself and starting to understand more that I was kind of cause of all of these things and not effect. Like I wasn't the victim. I was actually the cause, and starting to understand that a little bit better. So I got to travel and live in a lot of places, which was cool during that season of my life. And, while I was in Kentucky, I had to open a sales office in Kentucky. And while I was in Kentucky, dude, you wanna have a spiritual revival, buddy? Go to Kentucky.
Oh, I've been there, dude. I remember back when I was drinking, I stayed the night somewhere in some county in Kentucky, and I went to the gas station to get some beer or something, and they're like, "This is a dry county." I said, "What's a dry county? What are you talking about? I already paid for a hotel room. Like what?"
Right.
You gotta drive 45 miles or something that way. And I'm like, shut up. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Which I did. I drove that 45 miles. I was messed up, man. But like that's crazy. Kentucky's actually, it's a great state.
It is a great state. In our small town that we live in now, they actually just legalized alcohol sales on Sundays this past January. Just legalized it, right? So I'm in Kentucky and I'm trying to figure out, my life. And as I'm driving around Kentucky, when you're a car guy, one thing that you do is you look at the license plate frames on everybody's cars because you want to see like who's selling cars in the area,
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at license plates frames, and all these license plate frames say Glenn, because there was a big auto group, Glenn Auto Group, that was very popular in Lexington. So I'm seeing Glenn everywhere, Glenn. Yeah. And then I'm like sitting in my car looking at Glenn, and I look over to the right, and there's this big sign that says Lundy's, because there's a big catering company in Lexington called Lundy's Catering. So everywhere I'm looking, it's like Glenn Lundy all around. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute, man. Maybe I need to pay attention to this place. So long story short, I went back to San Diego, stopped working with that company. And then I got a call from a guy that I met while I was in Lexington, a guy named Aaron Jones. He called me, said he needed a roommate. So I hopped on a plane and I landed in Lexington, Kentucky with $1,500 cash and a suitcase full of clothes. And I didn't know anybody but this random dude that I had partied with a little bit while I was here. And it was interesting because when I first landed at the airport, he wouldn't answer his phone. So I'm like calling for like 2 hours.
Oh no!
I'm like, I don't know anybody, and this guy. And finally, after 2 hours, he comes and picks me up at the airport, and that's how I got to start with the we'll call that the AD version. So we've got the BC version of Glenn, and then we've got the AD version of Glenn, and that's kind of where that all started.
Wow, dude, you have like. And the other thing is, you're really funny, man. The way you tell stories,
Thanks,
like, yeah, I can't even imagine you're sitting at the airport for 2 hours, like, where's my roommate, dude? Was this a scam?
Like, yeah, it was brutal, man. And I'm in like Kentucky, right? And when I land at the airport, I'm wearing an orange Tennessee hoodie.
Yeah.
Okay, because I liked orange. I don't know anything about Tennessee. But I liked orange. And so as soon as I get off the plane and I walk into the airport, this old dude sitting there looking at me, he goes, "Boy, you got a lot of nerve wearing that Tennessee hoodie around here." And I thought, what the heck am I doing, dude?
You're like, I'm dead.
Like I'm getting set up.
I'm dead. Oh my God.
Or something. I'm going to be strung up by a tree here shortly, man.
You're like going, I wonder if there's any banjos anywhere.
Yeah,
What's going on here?
It was nerve wracking.
Dude, I lived in Charleston, West Virginia for 5 years, so I'm very familiar with that region. Very familiar with it. So
yeah,
wow. So eventually you landed there. So what'd you first start? So what'd you do when you got there? You got a roommate, and what was the work you started?
Well, I decided that I absolutely loved poker, and I absolutely loved the community and the culture of poker. I loved the fact that a 20-year-old kid and a 70-year-old dude could sit at a table and talk and chum it up like they were best friends. White, black, Indian, Mexican, didn't matter. Once you were on the poker table, it was all about your skills. So I loved that aspect of poker. So I decided, a friend of mine had opened some free poker leagues in Phoenix, Arizona that had done really well.
Yeah.
So I decided I still wanted to be around the game of poker, and I wanted to be around the people, but I didn't want the risk. Yeah. And so I started doing odd jobs until I was able to put together enough money, and I started my own poker league. It was called Kentucky Blue Poker Crew, and I started it with just one bar, one night a week. And within, I think it was 10 months later, I got a Budweiser sponsorship. Wow. And a few months after that, I was running 7 nights a week, 5 different bars, had over 100,000 members. It was a big deal. Only one problem. I was in bars every night until 4 o'clock in the morning running these things.
Yeah.
And I got paid based on sales. So I had to be the life of the party. So I'm buying shots, I'm drinking. It was an incredibly unhealthy environment physically, even though the business itself was kind of thriving. And so there was a little bar across the street from one of the main places I'd do poker, and we'd always go there afterwards, a little place called Cocktails. And this bar, there was this real hot bartender that I loved. For some reason, I loved bartenders. I don't know if it was the free drinks or what, but I always fell in love with bartenders. So I met this real hot bartender, and her and I hooked up, and she got pregnant quick, and she happened to be from Paris, Kentucky. And so she told me that we needed to move to Paris so she could be close to her mom, and that I needed to get a day job if we were going to make this work. And so we sold the poker league. We sold that off, and I moved to Paris, Kentucky with my now wife. She wasn't my wife at the time, but now we've been married, I guess, 7 years. So my now wife, and we moved to Paris, Kentucky, and there happened to be this little tiny dealership there, this little place called Dan Cummins Chevrolet and Buick. And, I decided that it was the only thing I knew. Like, if I'm going to go back to a day job, I might as well go back to selling cars because I already kind of know what I'm doing. I know I can be good at it. But again, I just wanted to make sure that I did not repeat the same cycle that I had before. So
were you real? Were you? But at that at that point, when you were in, you first get to Paris, you're looking at the dealership. Did you really consciously, and I'm very curious about this, did you really consciously say, I don't want to repeat the same thing? Or was it just like, you just intuitively knew, hey, don't repeat the same thing?
No, it was literally a decision. Now,
Okay.
at this point in my life, I'd been in Kentucky a little bit. I'd gotten into the church. I was more in touch with my spiritual self,
Okay.
those kind of things. And so I literally said, if I am going back into this business, because at this point I still hadn't seen my, my daughter that I lost custody of at 6 years old. I hadn't seen her at this point, I guess, for 6 years or somewhere around there. But,
Wow.
and so I wrote down, like, what does everyone hate about the car business? From a customer aspect, what does everyone hate about the car business from a sales, like an employee aspect?
Yeah.
And I was determined at that point to do the exact opposite of all of those things. If I was going to be in the business, I was going to be with people, be surrounded by good people. I wasn't going to go just work at any crap store full of crooks.
Yeah.
And luckily, the store that happened to be in Dan Cummins is run by the two most incredible guys on the planet, Josh and Dusty Cummins. So I was going to be around good people. I was going to make good decisions, and we were going to do the exact opposite of all the things that I hated. And I knew in order to do that, I had to get into a management type position to be able to make those types of changes. So I went in as a salesman, and I worked my stinking butt off to move my way up to a sales manager, and worked my butt up to move my way over to a GSM so that we could make an impact and so that I could influence those changes with the help, of course, and the guidance of my leaders there in the company.
So are you a GSM or GM?
I'm a GM now.
Okay. So eventually that came about. So you're a disruptor, dude.
Hey, thanks,
right?
man.
That's what you are, and I love that, man. I love disruptors. I love people that want to make a positive difference in the world, whether it's selling cars, selling windows, selling whatever. It doesn't matter. And I believe that everybody's in sales. I don't whether.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you're an accountant, you're in sales. You have to be able to communicate effectively with other people and influence them. And so man, wow, what a story, dude! Holy crap! So like that's like this is like the comeback story, man. Like seriously, this is a big time comeback story because. What on a national basis, and you may know this number, I don't know it. What's the average car dealership sell in volume on a monthly basis? Do you know?
Your average store is going to be between 120 and if a store's doing 120 to 120 to 150 cars, that they're doing good. Like that's a good store.
Okay.
There's a lot of stores out there, do 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, somewhere in there. So typically 120 is a good store, not a great store, but a good store.
Yeah.
Does 120. Some of your great stores, your big stores are usually, 3, 4, 500 right in there.
Yeah.
And then you've got a couple guys, up at the top that do, 1,000.
Yeah. You know any of those guys?
I know of two, and one's in your backyard. And
oh, really?
Yeah, Riker.
Oh, and, Riker. We're dealing.
Yeah. So,
wow.
But yeah, there's that one, and then there's this little store in Paris, Kentucky.
Dude, that's unbelievable. So you're drawing people like you're doing over 1,000 cars a month, and that's new.
Let's clarify.
Used.
We've done 1,000 once.
Oh, okay.
We've hit 1,000 once. We typically hang out in the 850 to 900 range. This past March, we broke 1,000 for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow, dude, that's insane. In a town of 9,000 people.
Yes, sir.
How are you pulling people? I mean, you're not selling to the same people in Paris, Kentucky. Are they? They must be driving in from everywhere.
Yeah, they're driving in from everywhere. Again, those leaders that I talk about, Josh and Dusty Cummins, man. those guys are absolutely brilliant. The dealership's been in their family forever,
Yeah.
but they just took over. They took over 11 days before I started there.
Oh, okay.
It's when they took over. And Josh is a brilliant servant leader.
I can tell.
And he understands the internet, and he understands the importance of taking care of customers. He understands the importance of taking care of his employees. He gets that. So you've got that. And then Dusty, the other owner, is just an absolute workhorse, and he's able to source vehicles and do things that a lot of other places can't do. So when you start with those two guys in your corner, man,
Yeah.
you know, like when you've got freaking, you know, like you've got LeBron James and like D Wade, you know, then you can come in and be Chris Bosh, dude, and you can crush it, you know. So it started with those two guys, and then of course, you know, where I try to fill in is as far as I've got some good leadership qualities, and I try to get as creative as I can, keeping us relevant with as far as social media. And I created the group Rise and Grind to help as many people as possible, not just in the car industry, you know, in the auto industry, but help people with life skills and a lot of things like that. And that stuff all just translates to when you're doing God's work, then God does God type stuff with your business.
Yeah, right.
Stuff like let you sell 1,000 cars in a community of 9,600. That doesn't work, you know, unless you're doing good for God, and then God does good for you. So that's kind of how it's all panned out at this point. You know?
Dude, that's amazing. That's absolutely that's amazing. I'm like sitting here just. If I get one more freaking chill on my body, I think I'm gonna have a seizure or something. So, like, dude, you're incredible, man. Like, I never even thought about interviewing a general manager of a car dealership on my show, to be honest with you, man. Then Lisa mentioned, I think it was on a phone call with her. I said, that Glenn Lundy dude you interviewed seemed pretty cool, and she's like, oh my God, he's the best, and blah, 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 blah. Did you see the video about him doing the thing at Christmas? And I said, no, what are you talking about? She's like, go look, and so I watched it, and I was like, shut the front door. I couldn't even believe it, man. I was like, no way. Like, dude, what you did for that guy, and again, you're humble enough to be like, yeah, man, it was no big deal. But like, dude, I'm sure you changed that guy's life like that, you know? And his outlook.
You know, yeah, you know, and it's not something I can take all the credit for either. You know, my wife and I, you know, we're laying in bed. I wake up and I see that he had gotten robbed, and you know, my wife looks over at me, and she's my biggest, you know, fan and my biggest supporter, and she's who keeps me, you know, like this. So she's like, well, we got to do something, you know, because we've been blessed in so many ways, and we've been where that kid is kind of at, where you don't have anything, and you don't know where to turn. And so my wife's like, we got to do something. And I'm like, absolutely, you know. And so for us, you know, a little bit of money, for him, hopefully, an event that he'll remember his entire life.
Yeah. And
that he'll reach out and continue to help other people the same way if he ever has that opportunity to do so, you know. And it's all about just being that drop in the pond and letting it ripple out. And so we look for as many opportunities as a dealership and as many opportunities with my family. We look for as many opportunities to just be that pebble. That allows God to do his work. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, you're only a 4-hour drive for me. I'm going to come buy a dang car from you, man. So,
yes, sir.
I mean,
yes, sir.
Yeah, boom.
Got it.
Wasn't even a fight, bro. So like, I carry in my money clip, I carry this, and, you know, I'm definitely not a religious guy, but I'm very, very spiritual. I spend every single morning of my life, I spend at least 20, 30 minutes meditating and getting right spiritually. And so, you know, I carry a minister of a church. I was sitting in a service 30 years ago. And literally it was 28 years ago, in Atlanta, Georgia. I was on the run, but this minister gave me the scripture with a dollar bill stapled to it, Malachi 3, bring the whole tithe and offering into my storehouse so that my children may have
Right.
food. Test me in this way, and I believe that, and I still have it, dude. I have that with the same dollar bill attached to
Wow.
it. It's 30 years old, right? And
amazing.
I was in Seattle. I was homeless, man, just like you. I was going place to place trying to figure out who I could con some money out of so I can go get a beer or 15 and
Right.
and or whatever, man. I was doing the same thing, just in a different part of the country, and I moved everywhere. Dallas, I was everywhere. And so, like, I've always remembered that, dude, if you help enough it's Zig Ziglar. You help enough other people get what they want out of life, you will have everything that you want out of life and more. Right?
That's right.
And so
Absolutely.
I've been blessed like that. I truly think, you and I both could be like those statistics. Like
100%.
Right.
100%.
Right. But you got a big voice, I got a big voice, and that's what we're here for, man, is to help people see that there's hope. So what would you say I've gone completely I mean, we've gone off the rails with this one, bro. Like, this is my wife's on here going, holy crap, this is a great interview. She's loving this, man. And she's my biggest supporter and best friend, and keeps me in line. We fight. You can't be.
Oh yeah.
It's not even
course.
like, we gotta have that passion. But we fight just so we can make up, though.
Right. I feel you.
That's Garth Brooks song. But what do you think? What do you think the biggest mistake is that people make in life? What's the biggest mistake that they make that keeps them stuck and that holds them back from that success?
Hands down, victim mentality.
Boom.
The fact that people think that life happens to them and don't understand that it actually happens through them, that is by far the biggest mistake. It's the biggest mistake I ever made. It was the exact instant that my life changed is when I realized that, wait a minute, I've got a say in this, and I am not a victim, and I will never be a victim again. And the things that happen around me, I got to take a look in the mirror, and I'm the catalyst and the spark for change. I can't rely on anybody else to do it. I'm not going to count on anybody else to get me there. No one else can hold me down. No one else can lift me up. It's all on me.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest mistake people make, is they actually believe that their life can be determined by those people around them versus themselves.
I love that, man. I've seen some videos with you in the dealership, and you're always lifting people up. And is it Josh? Is that
Yes.
Yeah. Super
Yep.
guy. I saw a video the other day that you did with him where he went in and worked on a key machine or something. I don't even know what that is, but
yeah, man.
On Sunday or a holiday or something, right?
On a Sunday, yeah.
Yeah. So dude,
And a Memorial Day weekend, yeah.
That's it.
Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah. So you're always lifting people up. I'm sure that you've had people come to you and say, "Hey, I want to go start my own business," and you didn't try to say, "No, you're a loser." You probably went, "Yeah, dude, go for it."
Absolutely.
That's what a great that's why you're doing 1,000 cars a month, man. I mean, that's crazy. Nobody does that. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I kind of knew. Ironically, I've been in web development forever, doing internet stuff. And Crown Mercedes-Benz here in Columbus, that was the very first professional website I built.
Nice.
Was a car dealership.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you've been in the car business your whole life. You just didn't know it.
Yeah, right. Right. I like cars. So, number one piece of advice. Now, again, let me set the stage, because we've all been here, including you and me. You got no money. Maybe you're even overdrawn. You got your rent's late. Your electric's getting shut off. Got no food. Can't feed the kids. Just don't know what to do. You really don't know what to do. You don't know where to turn. Sure. Number one piece of advice you'd give that person.
Well, here's what I think. I'm a firm believer, and this is why I created the Rise and Grind. I'm a firm believer that people can completely 100% change their lives if they would change the way they start their day. It's the most important thing. I think that you can rid yourself of sickness. You can rid yourself of disease. You can change any situation in your life if you just focus on the way that you start your day. And here's why. It's twofold. So, and this is why we do Rise and Grind every morning, 5:30 a.m., Monday through Friday. And the reason we do it is when you know that you have Rise and Grind at 5:30 in the morning, or you've got a schedule, you've got something to do in the morning, it's easier to make better decisions at night.
Yep.
Right? Which I was horrible at making good decisions at night. I was horrible at it. That's when the drink and the party and the fun. But when you have something to do in the morning, it's like, bro, no, I can't do that. I can't go there. So it makes it a little bit easier.
Right.
And it gives you hope for tomorrow. It gives you something to look forward to when you have a good morning routine. Like, I used to have nothing to look forward to, and it was devastating. So having that hope and having some kind of structure, it helps in that point. And then two, the morning routine itself. And what I always tell people is there's 5 things you have to do every single day that will change your life. And the very first thing that you have to do is first thing in the morning is never hit the snooze button. Never hit the snooze button. And that goes into sleep cycles and so on and so forth. I've got a whole video on it. And then the second thing is to take this guy right here and put it away first thing in the morning, because as soon as you jump into this, you're going to start allowing everyone else to steer the direction of your life and your day. Put that sucker away. The third thing that you got to do is you got to write down everything you're thankful for and your goals, meditation session, like you were talking about, getting in touch with your spiritual side. And then, of course, the fourth thing is you got to take care of yourself physically. And then I always say the fifth thing is that you now have to take this powerful human being that you've become, right? Because you didn't hit snooze and you're not letting any negativity into your zone. You've meditated. You've gotten in touch with your spiritual side and you're taking care of yourself physically. Now you're in a place where you can impact other people's lives. So the fifth thing that you have to do is send out some kind of encouraging word, encouraging message. Maybe it's do a show like Rise and Grind where you help as many people as possible. But when you get into a routine where you build yourself up and make yourself the best version of you that you can possibly be, and then release that out into the universe where you start helping others, that's when your life changes.
Wow. I mean, holy crap, man. Like, dude, what the heck? What just happened? Does anybody know it? Did anybody get the license plate number of that bus that just hit us? Like, what the heck, man? Like, my wife, Deb Ballinger, they're going, wow, so good. Like, dude, this is incredible. Holy crap.
Well,
I'm going to have to send Lisa a check. So like, dude, this is incredible. My wife's on here saying amazing. And she doesn't compliment people. I'm just kidding. But, dude, that's incredible. Wow. So, I'm definitely watching this part of the interview over for sure. Like, that was incredible. Rise and Grind. So she said that's not true. I'm sorry, it's just me. I'm kidding. She's gonna come storming in here in a minute. So
what do they say in relationships? Never use the word never use the word always. What you're supposed to say is she's not one that often likes to compliment.
No, she does though. She does. She's a great person. So
I'm just fueling the flame a little bit for you. So
I appreciate it.
When you hop off here, you can have some fun.
We'll fight just so we can make up. But
exactly.
Wow, dude, that was powerful. That's so powerful. Because look, I think that people don't change because they don't know how to change. They don't know what direction to go. It's like when I mean, dude, I used to drink like all day. I used to have a sign in my office. I was making millions of dollars a year in my late 20s, but I had a sign in my office that said you can't drink all day if you don't start first thing in the morning. Like, my employees saw that. They were like, kind of a guy am I working for here, right? Like, hey, good job. Let's do a shot.
Morning, boss.
Yeah, right. But like, so but I remember at the end, man, August 10th of 2002, I was like, I couldn't do it anymore. And I call it the alcoholic's prayer to God, was me screaming at God saying, if you're real, you need to prove this because I can't do this on my own. And you and I both know it. And dude, that's when it all like started changing for me. But, again, it doesn't happen overnight, but I think that people don't know where to start. And what you just laid down is just, it's pure gold. It's gold, man. You're going to help a lot of people. I love it. So what's next for you, man? I heard this morning on your interview with Lisa that there's apparently a new baby on the way.
Man.
Yeah, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
And to your beautiful wife, you have a beautiful family, man.
Hey, thank you.
And there's a new dealership or something.
There is, yeah. We, Josh and Dusty just bought a Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, franchise just down the road, small store that, currently they're doing about 40 cars a month or so. So I'm really excited. As far as what's next, well, we are going to, I tell everybody I'm on a mission to eradicate the negative stigmas associated with the car business. And in order to do that, I have to, I have to continue to work with Josh and Dusty and my team. There then comes, we have to continue to now spread. We have to disseminate, right? We have to spread the message. And so what I'm excited about this dealership is they've always been right down the road from us. And they've always had the opportunity to change the way they sell cars and we obviously have the exact same market, the exact same people. And they weren't willing to change. And so I'm excited now because now this is what happens when you don't change. You shut down and then we come over and we take over. And so I'm excited for the opportunity to grow this store and now be able to help and effectively, help people that just a new market of people that we couldn't help before, like Jeep market people and Dodge market people. Yeah. I'm excited to be able to share an experience with them that they deserve when buying a car. And excited to grow that to where we can start hiring more people, which changes more lives, and just starts to make a bigger impact. So now we have 7 years of mistakes that we've made. And to get to where we're at today, and we don't have to make those mistakes again. We've got a blank slate store. So I think the story on this store is going to even be more incredible than the story on Dan Cummins. I'm really, really jacked up about it.
Dude, so you're going to take another store to over 1,000 cars? That's incredible, dude.
Yeah, I mean, 1,000, that's a big number. Yeah.
All right, 2,000.
So let me clarify. I want the store to be highly successful, and I want it to be one of the top Dodge stores, in the country, just kind of like we're one of the top Chevy stores in the country. Now, what that number looks like, I don't even know yet because I don't know Dodge's stuff. And I think as far as used cars, we're very close to each other. So I think the used cars, we're going to stick kind of with the current plan and just really focus on new cars with them. So it might not be 1,000 car store, but it's a store that's going to make an impact on this industry. And that's my promise and my guarantee to Josh, to Dusty, and to everybody out there that we're going to do it all over again, man. It's going to be so much fun.
Dude, that's incredible. That's so cool, man. I really liked you and respected you before, but now, dude, I might have a bit of a man crush. Sorry, babe. I'm kidding. Nah, dude, you're awesome. You're incredible. And I love the way that you are, you're determined to, help the world, man. And that's what it's about. People are like, I see there's you see it, we all see it, man. There's people that are homeless, that are or they're just on the verge of being homeless, or and they need hope, man. I remember going to meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous when I first got sober, and I remember there was a sign that was always in the middle of the floor, laying on the floor, and it said, "Hope is found here." Now, for the longest time, I thought it was some chick that I was going to meet.
Right.
Right. But and now it's like, dude, I get it. The world that's the one thing I was missing. That's the one thing I was missing. I think that's the one thing that most people are missing. And they hear about a guy that tried to swim out into the middle of the Pacific Ocean to kill himself in San Diego. that's now doing over 1,000 freaking cars, or has done 1,000 cars in a month, and is the GM of this big car dealership with a beautiful wife and family, and just flourishing in everything you're doing, man. Like, that's hope.
Yeah, man.
That's hope.
Awesome.
That's
and
awesome.
I will throw this in too before we wrap up. That little girl that I lost custody of at 6 years old.
Yeah.
She's back in my life now. I'm actually going to see her tomorrow. She came back at when she was 14 years old. So after 8 years,
Dude.
I was able to smooth things over with her mom. She's back in my life, so she's got to meet all her brothers and sisters, and that's part of the reason, we're out here in Arizona right now. So she's driving down from Flagstaff tomorrow.
Wow.
And I'll get to see her tomorrow. She's 19 now. She just finished her first year of college.
Wow.
Which is incredible. So yeah, man, when you turn it around and you start to take a look inside, start to take look in and look up. When you start to do those two things, everything changes, man.
Dude,
everything changes.
I like, there's some more dang chills. Like I have an older daughter from a previous learning experience, myself. And, it's challenging. And, so I get it, man. Wow, dude, you're incredible. How can, there's like, obviously Facebook, you're already tagged in this, but how can people follow you? What I looked for, does Rise and Grind, do you have a Facebook page for it?
Yeah, I've got a group. You got to put the hashtag in, #Rise and Grind.
Okay.
And the Facebook group has close to 28,000 members now. We just started it about 5 months ago. It's got 28,000 members and continues to just grow. I go live every day, 5:30 a.m.
Wow.
With the Rise and Grind show, even when I'm in Arizona, and it's actually 2:30 a.m. like I did today. But if for all of that, if you just go to GlennLundy.com.
Okay.
On GlennLundy.com, there's links to the Facebook group. There's links to every episode of Rise and Grind that we've ever done. Plus, I did a couple other shows called In the Beginning, an inspirational way to start your day. Plus, we have all of our Saturday morning sales meetings from the dealership. All of those are on my YouTube page. You can link to that from GlennLundy.com.
Wow.
If you think this shirt is rad, you can order it at GlennLundy.com. Things like that. We've also got an event coming up August 12th where we're going to have speakers. We're going to pull people together from all over the nation, all different age groups, and we're going to have music, and we're going to have awesome speaking. It's just going to be a big event, so I've got tickets for that.
Where's
Everything's
that?
on GlennLundy.com. The event's going to be in Paris, Kentucky.
No kidding.
Yes, sir. Paris, Kentucky, on the courthouse steps. The city itself is shutting down the roads.
Shut up! Are you serious, man?
Yeah, I'm serious, man.
Dude,
One out of every four people that live in Bourbon County are in this group.
Come on, dude. For real? Did you say Bourbon County?
Yeah, Bourbon County, buddy.
Oh my God.
Bourbon County. Yeah,
Dude.
so they're shutting down the streets. They're going to hang the banners, and Dan Cummins is kind enough to sponsor the event. We've got a couple other sponsors in line, and it's going to be really neat because we're going to have like contemporary music. We're also going to have like some Christian music. We're going to have all these people from the auto industry mixing with people from other industries, and the speakers are fire, dude. Sean Hayes is going to be speaking. Danelle Delgado is going to be speaking.
Wow.
A guy named Roddy Chong. I don't know if you've ever heard of Roddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roddy's going to be our main event. He's headlining the thing, so it's going to be awesome.
Dude, I know.
Yeah, you better come down.
I know Danelle really well. What's that?
I said you're just 4 hours away, so I expect to see you there.
I'll be there. When is it again?
August 12th. It's a Sunday evening.
Dude, we'll definitely be there. Heck yeah, man. Might have to.
Yeah,
is there? I'm sure there's motels nearby or hotels. But yeah, we know Roddy.
Yeah, Roddy's the man, dude. Roddy's the man, and Danelle and I are very close also. Yeah, she's awesome.
I love Danelle. She's amazing. All right, dude. Listen, man, my wife just said, I want to go. She's in the other room yelling it too, so.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
That is freaking awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely be there, man. So I'll be there before that. I can guarantee it. I'm coming to see you. Even if it's just to buy you a cup of coffee, man. So listen, hey. I genuinely appreciate you, man. Like you have, you fired me up this morning. I don't know about everybody else. I'm telling you, Deb Ballinger wants to come all the way from Sparks, Nevada. So
Beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful.
she's
Well,
awesome. She wants to go now. So yeah,
awesome.
we will. And my wife just subscribed to your YouTube channel. See, things are happening, bro. Things are happening.
Love
man.
it.
Hey,
Love it.
if I can ever help you with anything, you let me know, man. Anything.
Okay.
And dude, I'm kind of I'm gonna be honest. I'm kind of I don't even know what to say. Like I've never been speechless at the end of my show. What the heck? I mean, like that's crazy, dude. This is my show. You're not supposed to leave me speechless.
Well, good, man. I'm just glad. I really appreciate you having me on. And I'm really appreciate that we connected. I'm excited to be connected with you because you're obviously, you're a great guy and we have similar passions, which I love connecting with people with similar passions.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I just appreciate you having you on. And again, you need anything, for me, you let me know, man.
Yeah. All right, brother. Hey, thank you, man. Really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And to everybody on here that is watching, if you didn't share this out, shame on you. I'm just kidding. Share this thing out, man. This is great. This was a great interview. So thank you to everybody for the love, the likes, the hearts, the laughter, everything, man. So y'all be great. Thank you. Glenn, thank you so much. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, my man. Take care.
All right. See ya.